So the Minnesota Vikings have won 6 straight games, and despite being 11-2, they're the 5th seed in the NFC. I never understood the divisional rule where if you're in first place, you get a high seed. So the Seahawks are 8-5, they're the 3 seed. The Bucks are the 4 seed at 7-6, and then you've got the Packers are 9-4, and they're the 6th seed. So they'd have to go on the road to start off the playoffs. So would the Vikings, and of course, so would the Commanders. But Minnesota, they've actually got a realistic chance to end up winning this division because the Lions play the Bills this Sunday, and although the Lions are 2-point favorites, that's a very slight advantage in football. Are the Bills going to drop 2 games in a row? Because if they do, they're pretty much going to have no chance to end up getting that 1 seed and getting that coveted first round bye. I just have a strange feeling the Bills are going to win that game. I think the Vikings will take care of business against the Bears on Monday Night Football, and to that point, we're talking about Minnesota controlling their own destiny. And I'll be the first to tell you guys, I was definitely wrong about this team. I wasn't going out there and putting them in last place saying they're going to be trash. But in terms of them being 11-2, I certainly didn't see that coming. Sam Darnold's playing at an MVP level. I mean, this was about as good of quarterback play as it gets against a Falcons rush that was wreaking havoc all day, but Darnold bought time and he found his playmakers. He goes out there, he throws for 347 yards. I mean, guys, look at this stat right here. Only, 82? I wrote it down in my notes. What was it, guys? It's 90, I think it was 97. 97 yards of those 347 end up coming in just the first half. That means the second half, Darnold had 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, unbelievable performance. He should be a Viking next season, even if he's going to get a huge contract, bigger than Geno, bigger than Baker. If you're the Minnesota Vikings, you've got to bring this guy back. JJ McCarthy is still very young. He would have been the youngest starter in football. He's younger than Drake May, younger than Anthony Richardson. He would have been, like 20. I think he's 21. He would have been super, super young. Give him some time, bring in Darnold, and let him continue to cook because the Vikings, they've got Kevin O'Connell. They've got Aaron Jones now, who is a veteran. He's getting older. He's had a good season, has dealt with some fumble issues. The Vikings sat him down for a little bit. But in this game, he goes 13 for 73, had that long touchdown run, of course, late in this game to just completely put it away. And then Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. To this point, I'm calling them the best 1-2 receiver punch in football. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill are very close. I think Jamar Chase and T. Higgins can make a strong case. I haven't been that impressed with T. Higgins, though. Even he tweeted out his apologies. I think he had 2 catches for 23 yards or someone on of course, Monday Night Football. But if you're saying it isn't Jefferson and Addison, you're just completely fooling yourself. I mean, let's do some math here. So you put 133 and 132 together. I mean, we're talking about 265 receiving yards. And then, of course, you put the 8 receptions from Addison, the 7 from Jefferson. That, of course, is going to be 15 catches. And then 3 touchdowns from Addison, 2 from Jefferson. That's 5. So 15 catches, 265 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. It's just unbelievable. Jefferson, of course, was 101 in the first half for that touchdown, but the second half, these guys just completely came alive and dominated. Didn't matter if it was zone, if it was 1-on-1 in man. There was a blown coverage where Jefferson had that 52-yard catch, but that was because Darnold was able to buy time, get out of the pocket, fool the safety. Jesse Bates is going to be an all-pro safety this year. Fools him. He comes down to the flat. But Darnold, because he's such a good athlete and has such a massive arm, he's able to make that throw down the field. The defense was discombobulated, but that is because of the greatness of Sam Darnold. And one thing that I loved about the Vikings going out and getting him, outside of the fact that he was praised by Kevin O'Connell, but he's 27. Like, Sam Darnold is only 27 years old. He's been in the league since 2018, so it seems like he's in his low 30s. But no, he's 27, so he's going to play quarterback at this high of a level. He's only going to get better too. And it goes to show that where you're playing plays a huge role in your development. So Baker was with the Browns. We all know how that went. He ends up going over, he was with the Raiders, with the Rams. He was with the Rams, and then, of course, now with the Bucks, balling out, leads his team to the playoffs last year, nearly got to the NFC Championship. And to Sam Darnold, he was drafted by the Jets. He was with the Panthers, played well towards the end of that tenure, nearly led them to the playoffs. And now he's with the Niners, and then now he's with the Vikings. And you guys can see, I mean, he's killing it right now. Sam Darnold is very, very good. From the eye test, from the tape, he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in football. And I remember Dan Orlovsky put him right up there with some of the top guys, and he got a lot of hate for it with how he's playing. But the tape doesn't lie. Like Sam Darnold, it's not just who's around him that plays a huge role, but it's also he's just making the right reads. He knows where to go with the football. Kirk Cousins, for example, throws for nearly the same amount of yards, 344, but he got fooled several times in this game, and he threw 2 interceptions. He had a lot of passes batted down at the line, and both these quarterbacks were under pressure. I mean, Darnold was sacked 4 times. Kirk was sacked just once. So this goes to show, man, if the Vikings still had Kirk Cousins, they wouldn't have Justin Jefferson, right? So you go out, you get Darnold for $10 million or whatever he's on. You pay Jefferson, give him the biggest contract for a receiver in the history of football, which is deserved too. There isn't a more consistent. I'll even go as far as saying there's not a more talented, yet alone consistent wide receiver in the game right now than Justin Jefferson. Jamar Chase is right there. I love me some Jamar Chase. I don't think he's as good as Justin Jefferson, though, if I'm being honest, because you can make the argument that, okay, fine, Joe Burrow, Sam Darnold, but also Justin Jefferson is never in single coverage. And when he is, you saw he just shreds a DB for a touchdown down in the red zone. Jordan Addison was the guy who was one-on-one, and Jordan Addison's fantastic. 8 for 133 and 3 touchdowns. It's because he's in single coverage, because Justin Jefferson's getting all the attention. I've seen Jefferson have 3 guys on him multiple times this season. TJ Hawkinson, 4 for 45. Josh Oliver, 1 for 26. Aaron Jones, 2 for 11 out of the backfield. The Vikings rushed the ball 24 for 115. Cam Akers got going on that final drive for the Vikings, 5 for 37. Had a 25-yard run. I like his explosiveness next to Aaron Jones. It's going to be a lot of fun. No need to cover the Falcons. I will say this, though. Through 3 quarters, they actually were completely in this game neck and neck. The Falcons, up until the 4th quarter where they lost that 21-0, the Falcons know a lot about 20-plus runs late in games, right? Super Bowl, of course, against the Pats. But the Falcons look pretty good. They looked like a legit playoff team, a team that could maybe even upset a higher seed in the first round. Well, if they won their division, they would be the higher seed. You guys get what I mean. They look pretty damn good until they didn't. And that's just the Vikings being a much better team. It just happened to show in the 4th quarter. But it was a desperate Falcons team that had lost 3 in a row coming into this. They almost had to win it because now they're out of the playoffs because the Bucs are over 500 and they do have the, I don't know what seed it is, but I guess I can check. I'm being lazy. The Bucs have the 4 seed. I'm all over the place, man. But I do want to say one more thing, and then I'll let you guys go. So in terms of the playoff picture, again, root for the Vikings to beat the Bears, and then root for the Bills to beat the Lions, because all of a sudden Detroit is 12-2, Minnesota is 12-2. Yes, they still would be the 5th seed, but now you control your own destiny, because look at this, right? Look at the Lions' schedule. So they are against the Bills, and they're at Chicago, at San Francisco, versus Minnesota. I do think the Lions beat the Bears and the Niners, but they're at home week 18 against the Vikings. And if you're a Vikings fan, you couldn't ask for anything better. The only thing you could is, hey, let's just have the Lions lose the rest of the season. But realistically speaking, if it comes down to both teams being 12 and well, to that point they would be what, 14 and 2. So yeah, they both would be 14 and 2, and then there'd be 1 game left, and the winner wins the division. If you're the Vikings and you get help from the Bills and they beat the Lions this Sunday, well, now you guys control your own destiny, because if you end up winning in week 18 against the Lions, you guys have the NFC North division, which means potentially a first-round bye. Of course, if the Eagles win the rest of the games, I'm not sure how that would work. But I find it hard to believe that the Eagles would be put over the Vikings just